Hello, let's do the New York Times Medium Sudoku for May 30th, 2024. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself using the same Sudoku pad software that I do, which does allow you to do certain markings that the New York Times app does not allow you to do. In addition to that, I do use a systematic method for these solves as a learning tool, but I found that it was taking too long to explain everything. I explain what I can, but to explain everything in great detail in every medium solve. And so instead, I'm going to link you a video where I think I did a really good job explaining everything in detail. And if there's anything that I'm doing here where you're like, I want to learn more about that, I'm not quite sure how that works or how to think about that, then do feel free to check out that video. And then if you, after watching that, if there's something about this solve you still didn't understand, or if you don't feel like watching it, if there's something about this solve you didn't understand, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to address it. All right, so I'm going to get started. So we always start by scanning the bands, and the first thing we scan for is repeated digits. So I'm going to start here with this 3 and 4, and I'm going to look for another 3 and 4 over here. I don't see a 3, but I do see a 4. So these two 4s, we need to find where the third 4 goes in this band. Well, it's going to be in this box, but not in this row or this row, and this can't be a 4 because it's a 1. So we're going to use quarter marks to denote that we found that the 4 can end up in one of these two cells within this box. All right, now we just compare 1, 8, 9 against this box, and we don't find a 1 or a 9, but we do find an 8. So these 8s look in. This 8 down here looks up into the box, and this 3 is occupying a spot that can't be 8. So there's only one place left that can be 8 in this box, so it must be, and that's called a hidden single. We found a hidden single 8 in box 3. All right, and that is it for the repeated digits. The last thing we're going to look for here is two things, really. If we have a filled box row, which we do not, we don't have any filled box rows. And also, we're going to look to see if we have any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer open cells. We do not. All right, you might notice this one and this one looking into the box, causing one to only be here. I think that's a good thing to be on the lookout for, is if you have one completely open row or one completely open column, in this case open row, look for any digits that are not yet placed in the box that are taken out of all of those cells, right? You can see this box is almost full, especially if you ignore this row. We do have the 1 here that looks in, and then we just look down to see if any 1s down there help. We can actually place the 1 there. And then also this 3 is looking in, and now we can place the 3 here. Okay, and now we have 2 filled box rows, but we don't need to worry about that because we just have a triple remaining for this box. The filled box rows are useful for getting additional corner marks within the same box. And in this case, we already know what these 3 digits are going to be, so we can center mark those. That is going to be the 5, 7, and 9. So I do see 2 9s looking up into here. That does place the 9. And then we end up with a 5, 7 pair remaining. Now this 5, 7 pair, because one of these has to be 5 and the other has to be 7. That means for the rest of the row, they cannot be 5 or 7. So, as a result, we can sort of consider the 5, 7 done for the band when we're considering the band. Now, we don't have any other 5s or 7s helping right now, so that's not helpful. But we also did place a 1, 3, and 9. So let's take a look at those, look for buddies. So we do have 2 1s looking in. This one looks up. It's a 1 in one of these two. We also have this 3 and this 3 looking in. This 3 looks up, that places this 3. And then we also have the 9, these 2 9s look in, so 9's one of these two. Now that we've done that, we can see that this row is down to 3 open cells. So we want to think about what those 3 are. We're going to fill this triple. Just like we filled this triple, we're going to fill this triple. So it's going to be, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 5, we have a 6, we need 7, we have an 8, we need 9, and this cell can't be 9. So if we didn't already know, we would have learned that 9 is only in one of these two based on the row, but we already learned that based on the box. So nothing new learned there. But we do have some restricted cells marked, which is nice. I will also say that there's only 3 digits left in this row, because even though it looks like there's 5 open cells, we know the 5 and 7 are going to end up over here. So you can imagine the 5, 7 filled one way or another. It could be filled like this, or it could be filled like this. But either way, the 5 and 7 are done for also the row. So the 3 digits that remain that aren't 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9 are going to be the 2. And actually, we can see that we have these 2 2s looking up into this box. That actually does place the 2 in the box, but it also means these can't be 2, so it places the 2 in the row. Take your pick. And so the remaining two cells for this row are going to be the 4 and the 6, and this 6 tells us the order, because this one can't be the 6. So this one's the 6, which makes this one the 4. Now for this box, we have 2 open cells, so this is down to 5, 7 only. And then in this row is down to 4. So we can think about what the 4 digits are. For the row, we need a 1, which we have marked over here. We need a 5, 6, and 7. 1, 5, 6, 7. I think this is worth marking except for this cell. So 1, 5, 6, 7. This cleans up the 6. This cleans up the 1. This one, it can be any of 1, 5, 6, 7. Now, I only center mark if it's down to 3 or fewer. If we start center marking every single cell, it's just going to get super crowded, and we're not going to learn. We're not going to be able to spot the important things because we're going to have so much marked that obscures it. It's all about enhancing our scanning with our markings, not obscuring our scanning with our markings. So I'm not going to fill 1, 5, 6, 7 in there. It'll be obvious when it's time to fill it, and then we'll do it then. We may never have to fill it. What if it ends up a 1 and this we learn this can't be 1? We can just immediately fill the 1 here. And then we'll never have to center mark it, which is ideal. All right, so we got a lot more out of this band by noticing this structure here and how the 1 and 3 we're looking in, putting the 1 and 3 here. So that is something to keep an eye out for if you spot something very heavy-handed like that, where, hey, there's an open row, only one open row. So anyway, let's continue. And that's all about just recognizing what I call geometry, recognizing the structure of the givens in a box. If you're paying attention to the givens, it's a lot easier to notice something like that than if you're paying attention to the empty cells. Okay, so now let's do this next band. I'm going to start with the 2, 6. I always start with the box with the fewest givens because I have fewer numbers to remember. So the 2 and the 6, 2s are actually done in the band, so we don't need to worry about that. We do have 2 6s though, so we need to locate the third one, and it's in one of these 2 cells. Okay, now I have the 1, 2, and 8. We don't have a 1 over here, but we do have a 2 and an 8. So the 2 is done, but we do have the 2 8s. They look in here. These can't be 8. That lets us place this 8. All right, so that's it for our buddies. Notice we don't have to actually think about 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a lot of digits to remember. We don't have to, though, because we already looked for these 2 digits there, and we looked for these 3 digits there. And actually, once we could ignore the 2, it was 1 digit and 2 digits. You see how the advantage of that scanning order. Either way, you will find the same duplicates. You're not going to find any more or less unless you miss one. All right, so now we have this filled box row. So specifically what we're looking for here is we don't care about open cells, and we don't care about digits that are already placed in this box. So we're down to just the 7 here, but the 7 is still useful. Think about what this 7 does. It looks into this box, removing 7 from these 3 cells, and the 7 cannot be in these 3. It says if we had a 7 over here, taking 7 out of these 3, and 7 can't be in these 3. And so 7 ends up in one of these 3 cells. We can mark that. But also we have this 5, 7 pair up here. Do try to scan your pairs. Even with red markings on, this is not going to turn red because we haven't filled out the 5, 7 pair yet. But if you look, if the 5, 7 pair ends up like that, or the 5, 7 pair ends up like that, this cell is red regardless. So no matter how this resolves, this cannot actually be a 7. So we can remove that corner mark. Important to be able to scan those things. So now this is going to do something called pointing. Because in this box, we have reduced the 7 to here or here. It's going to be very similar to my argument about this 5, 7. This is going to be the 7, or this is going to be the 7. Those are our 2 choices, because the box needs a 7. Both of those are in row 5, meaning that the rest of row 5 cannot be a 7. It's called pointing because you can imagine drawing a line between these cells with arrowheads on both directions, and it's going to point at the rest of the row and say, hey, no more 7s. So if these can't be 7, this 7 looks in. There actually is a 7 down here. Remember I said it says if there were a 7 down there? There actually is a 7 down here. That's always going to happen when you find it via this filled box row. All right. Now any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. I am seeing this row is down to 4. So first thing we want to do is think about the remaining digits that we need to place in these cells. They are the 3, 4, 5, and 7. So I'm looking around for 3s, 4s, 5s, and 7s, mostly in these columns, but we also want to look in the boxes just in case. 3, 4, 5, 7. So we can see that these 2 cannot be 7, right? We already have it marked over here, but that does tell us that. So we can safely mark 3, 4, 5 here. And notice this can't be a 3 because of that 3 there. I did notice that earlier as well. And because they are down to 3 or fewer. So we can mark them. And now these 3, 4, 5, 7, we're lucky in that actually these two 3s remove 3 from here. If you remember, we had this 3 removing 3 from there. So if we had noticed that earlier, we could have just immediately placed the 3. But it's also something to double check when you're center marking as you go, whatever works for you. But either way, we're placing this 3 because it is a hidden single 3 in this row. This row is going to need a 3, and it can't go anywhere except this one cell we placed it. So it must go there. And so now these are down to 4, 5, 7, and it's safe to just mark 3. And we want to just take a look, how are these 4, 5, 7s arranged? The only thing I notice about it is the 7 is restricted over here, which you already have marked. Now this box is also down to 3 open cells. It is safe to mark, but I always like to think about the digits first. 1, 4, 5. We have this 1 and 4 here. That's huge. That means this is a naked single 5. If we list out everything that this cell can be, right? Or if we list out everything it can't be a 1, 2, or 3. It can't be a 4. It can't be 6, 7, 8, 9. The only digit it can be is a 5, and so it must be. So that's a 5. And that resolves this as a naked single 4. And then that resolves this as a 1. Now this 5 does look up, resolving this 5, 7 pair. So it ended up resolving that way. We know it would be one way or the other. And this 4 also removes 4 from here. So we don't need these corner marks because this is a 5, 7 pair now, which is going to do the same job of removing 5 and 7 from these cells. And so now actually these cells are down to 4 digits. So we want to think about them. They are down to the 3, 4, 6, and 9. We know this can't be the 3 or the 6 or the 4. So this is a naked single 9. Remember I said 3, 4, 6, 9, and this can't be 3, 4, 6. So it has to be 9. Of all the digits listed, it can only be one of them. So it's a naked single 9. And now we can place 3, 4, 6 here, but I am noticing this 3 takes 3 out of these cells, right? And you can also notice it had this buddy as well. But either way, it does mean 3 is in one of these two. But now I'm just going to mark, oh, and also the 6. So the 6 is limited here, right? The 3 is limited here. We just needed a 4, and I'm not seeing any restrictions on 4, so we'll just add 4 to all of them. All right, and we noticed the 3's restriction, we noticed the 6's restriction. That's the important bit. Over here, I am already going to make a prediction. It's not much of a prediction, it's logically true, which is that there's going to be 2 digits that are limited to these 3 cells based on the row. And the reason I know that is there are only 4 open cells, so there's going to be 4 digits remaining, and this cell can only be 3, 4. So whatever the other 2 digits are that aren't 3, 4 are going to end up in these 3 cells, and we can corner mark that. So not only do we think, hey, what's remaining is 3, 4, 5, 9, but also we notice that the 5 and 9 end up over here. So we can corner mark 5, 9. Now we know this can't be 9. Our red marks are helping with that. But remember, we have this 5, 7 pair here, which does remove 5 from here. Okay, so 5 and 9 are marked, and now this cell we know is only 3, 4, 5. Oh, actually, it can't be 4 either. And this cell, it can't be 3, so it's only 4, 9, because it can't be 5 either, because of the 5, 7 pair. I'm using our corner marks to help us here. Now this is down to 3, 4, 5, 9, but we have a 3 here, so this is 4, 5, 9. Okay. And is there anything? I'm debating. I don't think we want to mark these yet. It is down to 5 in the row. It's down to 6 in the box. So we're going to ignore that for now. I think there's going to be better things to find, especially like we have 2 completely filled boxes here. When we get around to doing the stacks, we're going to find a lot. But let's just quickly do this band first. So I'm just going to start with the 1, 9, no matches, 2, 3, just the 3. So the 3s look in, and then we should have 2 3s above, right? Because we're always going to have buddies between these 2 boxes, right? Because they're both completely filled. So we can place that 3. Now we don't have any filled box rows. We don't have any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. So let's do the main event here, which is all of the buddies here. So 1s are done. We have our 2s. Those look down. This 2 looks in, placing this 2. We have our 3s all done. Our 4s look down, putting a 4 in one of these 2. Our 5s look down, putting a 5 in one of these 2. Our 6s look down. The 6 looks in, placing this 6. That displaced a 5 corner mark, meaning now that this is a hidden single 5 in the box. I'm noticing this column has only 1 open cell. Whenever you notice that, just place the last one. Whatever you're doing, if you notice 8 out of 9 in a row, column, or box, place the 9th. And so that's an 8. And so I'm actually just going to look at what this pair is, because that's all this is going to tell us anyway. So it's going to be the 4 and the 7, and we don't have any 4s or 7s over here to help. So we'll just leave that 4, 7 intact. So this stack is almost done. We just have to resolve a 4, 7 pair. Now we're going to do this stack. We have the 2 and the 3. The 3s are helping in terms of putting a 3 in one of these two cells. We also have the 6 and the 8. 2s are done in this stack. So we have the 6s and the 8s. The 6s look down. These two 6s look in, placing this 6. And then we have these two 8s looking down, and this 8 looking in. Whoa, sorry, I right-clicked. These two 8s look down, this 8 looks in, and so there's an 8 here. Okay, so we got all of the repeated digits here. We also have the 5, 7 here. We would want to try to find repeats for those, but we don't have that. Now, any filled box columns? Yes, but only in a box we already know everything about, so we can ignore that. Any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer? This is already marked up. This column is down to 4, so it could be interesting. So the 4 digits remaining are 1, and I'm thinking about 1s right now, and I'm noticing 1 is here and here. So I'm a little bit sad, but I wanted to look at it, right? We've got the 3, which we know is limited up here. So we know these are worth marking, but let's just keep thinking about the digits first. So it's 1, 3, we need 5. We're noticing 5 is here or here, and then we need 7. And we notice that 7 is here, here, here. Okay, so these are just going to be markable, but we're not going to find anything remarkable. So it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 7, right? This can't be 5, as we said. This can't be 3 or 5, because it sees the 3 and the 5. And this can't be 1 or 3, because again, we knew the 3 would be up here. And then these additionally saw the 1 and the 5. So we don't learn anything immediately from this, but they are restricted cells that are worth marking. We also see this is reduced to 3 open cells because the 5, according to the column, the 5, 7's done. It doesn't care how the 5, 7 resolves. These still can't be 5, 7, so they don't care. It's down to 1, 4, 9. I'm just going to pencil that. I'm only seeing this 9 here. Okay. And then this column is down to 4 as well. So let's think about that. We might end up with the whole stacks penciled. I think we're almost done with the puzzle. We'll see. We have 1, 2, 3. We need 4, 5, 7, 9. 4, 5, 7, 9. I'm seeing some restrictions like this 5, 9 here. I'm just going to fill it out. 4, 5, 7, 9. I thought I didn't see anything here, but I was going to double check. But let's get the 5, 9 cleared up. Get this 5, 9 cleared up. Aha. So what we have discovered here is a naked 4, 7 pair. Alternatively, you could have noticed a hidden 5, 9 pair here, because this can't be 5, 9 and this can't be 5, 9. Either way, we end up with these cells not being able to be 4 or 7. Because the 4, 7 are here. And according to the column, it doesn't care how that 4, 7 resolves. So these are a 5, 9 pair. Now that we've reduced that to 5, 9, we want to think about 4s and 7s. We want to think about whether the 5, 9s have additional buddies horizontally or in the boxes. Just in general, want to think about those things. Am I noticing anything interesting about this? Yeah, so I'm noticing that the 9 is restricted to these two cells now. And that is a direct result of this 5, 9 pair. So normally we have this 9 looking in, and then we have this 9 looking down. That just did it on its own, actually. But that has told us about that anyway. So 9 is in one of these two, and that is going to point along with this 9. This 9 looks down, putting a 9 in one of these two. So a helpful marking there. Okay, we got this 8 and 6 as well. We want to follow up on the 8 and the 6. 6s are done, but the 8s do look in. This 8 looks down. So we have the 8 here. This band, this is down to 1, 4, 7, but it can't be the 1. So I was looking at the row, 1, 4, 7. This can't be the 1, so it's down to 4, 7. So the only place for 1 is right here. We can place it. That means this can't be 1 and this can't be 1. So we want to look for 1s in this box, and we notice this is the only cell that we have 1 marked in. We could have had corner marks earlier. We didn't, but now we do have that 1 placed. This is kind of a crazy quad, not doing much. It'll collapse at the slightest touch, but we don't have that yet. I'm also noticing, let's see, I think I want to do this stack next because we haven't scanned it yet. We might find something. So I'm looking at the 3, 6, 8. We do have the 3s marked already. We have the 6s. We can't mark the 6s. And we have all 3 8s. And then we also have the 1 and the 2. So we do have 2 2s looking down. We have 2 2s looking in. That places this 2, which then also places the 9 based on our corner marks because it used up a 9 corner mark. That 9 places this 9 corner mark. So we can clean this up. What I'm noticing is this row needs 4, 5, 7. So we can center mark this as 4, 5, 7. We notice it cannot be a 4. And so that means in this row, the 4 is only here. Or you can use the 5, 7 pair if you prefer. That makes that a 7. So this now we have this entire stack done. So we're doing really well at this point. We just placed a 4 and a 7. So can we do any follow-ups with those? Nothing of note that I can tell. All right, we're going to continue with this stack. We have this 5-7 pair here. So the only place for 1 in this column is here. All right. So this is down to 5, 6, 7. Oh, but we do have this 5-7 pair here now. And so that means this can't be 5 or 7. So that means it's a naked 6. That places the 6 in this box, which places the 3 as well. The 6 also makes this a naked 4. That 4 resolves this entire quad. We get the 7, the 3, the 5, the 9, and the 4. Now we can resolve this whole box. Notice how they're all just singles, 4, 5, 9, and 7. These are singles now, 7 and 5. We get our 7 and 5 here, 7 and 5 here, 5 and 7. And then down here we need a 1 and a 4. They go like this, and we're done. Cool. So I hope that's a good pace for you. I'm trying to still go slowly, explain things, and do things that are still described by my systematic method. The one thing I did do right at the start, which I think was extremely helpful, and that's why I did not skip it, is this 1 and 3 helping out this box more than you would expect, despite not having filled box rows and despite not having a buddy here or here. So we didn't have the buddy 1, we didn't have the buddy 3, but it was still extremely helpful. And so I think being on the lookout, like hopefully you're scanning your givens and you're noticing things like, hey, this 1 and 3 aren't in this box, and they're looking into this box, removing themselves from a bunch of cells, most of the cells that remain. And so that's the kind of thing to be on the lookout for. I did also notice there were probably some crossings as we went, and I did not point those out because we do that in the second pass. So this puzzle, it collapsed from just, I don't know how important this 1-3 was. It felt very important because when we found the 1-3, that allowed us to do a lot more in the band, which normally we would have moved on from. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.